All right, everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome back to Ron on Ron, episode 5. I got 3 questions going on that's going around the sources today. The new Ryzen 5 5600 X3D. Supposed to be rumors that EVGA is closing, and the new launch of the RTX 4060 Ti version 2, the 16 gigabyte, which launched yesterday. Let's get into the stories. First story up is the first one I just said. AMD is not letting the AM4 platform go by releasing the Ryzen 5 5600 X3D CPU. Yes, this CPU is on the budget friendly. It comes in at $229. Sources says right here that AMD announced a surprise new addition to its socket AM4 lineup. Yes, AMD is not letting this lineup go. They still holding on to it because the AM4 lineup has been around with us for 6 years. After they went ahead on and start moving away from the AM3 socket, which was the bulldozer technology, which did so horribly because it was not really marketed right, but it's a good lineup for the AM3 platform. So this Ryzen 5 processor recently, sadly, the processor is only available at your local micro centers. Just like I said, you'll be getting this only at micro centers. So if you're looking for the Ryzen 5 5600 X3D, you're not gonna get it on Newegg. You're not gonna get it on Amazon. If you're trying to go ahead on and do a PC part pick a price list, just to go ahead on and show off for friends, etc., it's not up there. You'll be getting this only at Micro Center, coming at $229, and they also might pair it up at as a bundle. You could probably get it with some RAM. You probably get it with a CPU cooler, or you could probably get it with the SSD, whatever. But you cannot find this nowhere. Only at Micro Center. So if you're looking for it, Micro Center. Now, if you're teaming up with the right graphic card, whether you got the GTX 1660 Super, the RTX 20 series, 30 series, and 40 series, you will get great performance from the CPU. Gamer Nexus already did his benchmark on it, and the numbers are there. You are getting over 100 FPS with the CPU. Now, we all know when it comes down to rendering, do using Adobe Flash, etc., like that, it slows off in productivity. So on the performance wise, such as productivity, editing videos, rendering photos, editing photos if you use Adobe Photoshop, it lacks in speed into that. The only one that handles Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve is, as we all know, is Intel. So, but if you're looking for a gaming budget CPU coming in at $229, then the Ryzen 5 5600 X3D is the CPU for you. You can only pick this up at your Micro Center. Benchmarks from Gamer Nexus will be listed in the description below. So you can go ahead and click on his link, watch the video carefully, pay attention to the numbers. Now he is using the RTX 4090 with it, but he did not do any other comparison with the GPU. He said he was going to do that later on down the line with that their team there with the RTX 30 series, the RTX 20 series. Maybe he might throw into the GTX 1660 series. So not a bad CPU. So AMD is not releasing the lineup coming in at 229. That's not bad. So moving right along. Is it true that EVGA planning on leaving the motherboard industry? Study shows that EVGA is pulling out 170 employees left the industry as well as Kingpin. But we all know why Kingpin pulled out, because EVGA stopped dealing with Nvidia because they got tired of their nonsense and they got tired of the last to know. Let's get into the story. Yes, EVGA, this is coming from Tech Power Up. So I'll be putting their link sources in the description below so y'all can read. This is how I found this information out. And I'll be putting Tech Yes City on it because he did a topic on it as well too. Because if EVGA draws out, which it won't be a bother to us, because we still get Gigabyte, MSI, ASRock, as well as ASUS. So we got those vendors there. So here it says the company entire 170 strong workforce in its Taiwan office involved in the motherboard business has resigned, including Kingpin. EVGA could withdraw from the motherboard business just like it did with the graphics cards. But we heard from workers at EVGA Spain, it's just another day at the office. So yes, they have so many offices around the world. So Tech Power decided to reach out to him, and his says a quote here: "We saw this message, and there are rumors. This come directly from EVGA. So our Taiwan office is still open, and Kingpin is still with EVGA. EVGA is still doing business and supporting its customers. Thank you for reaching out." So, but still, it may be a speculation rumor, but we will not know anything else until we find out. But a speculation is, I think they are, because on my perspective, on a consumer perspective, if you look at the motherboards, you got the EVGA Z690 going for 630. You got the Z790 going for 700, 699.99, and you got the EVGA Z790 Dark Kingpin going for 799, but that's the $800 one, as well as the Dark Kingpin, the Z690 for $829. Now we all know and we love EVGA, and I'm not against them, but on a price point, it is expensive, very expensive. So as like I said, you go ahead and get motherboards cheaper than that, a whole lot, like $600 to $500 cheaper than that. So, but with the classy look, everybody going for reaching out to EVGA so they could get with their rep, the sales rep to send them out a free motherboard, then they go ahead on and buck the consumer price. But for us consumers, I don't see myself buying the EVGA motherboard because of the price point. I could go elsewhere and get a motherboard that could still perform the same qualities as the $600 something dollar motherboards or the $800 something dollar motherboards. Alrighty, moving right along. Last one. Is the RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte going to be any better than its sister, the RTX 4060 Ti and the 4060 8 gigabyte? Yes, it is. Um, Sources said that they're not sending any of these GPUs out, the 16 gigabyte version, out to for test marketing to see the FPS scores. Cause I know a lot of consumers are rating on the benchmarks results of the RTX 4060. As you see here, the only two models that I posted up in my slide here is the Pro Art RTX 4060 Ti Advanced Edition and the Dual RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte from ASUS. Those are the only retailer. That's the only retailer that I could find that could selling these GPUs on the market. I'll be putting a ASUS web link in there if you prefer to buy one. But yes, on the prospective budget, you are getting over 100 frames per second in certain titles, and you get under 100 FPS in certain titles. But study shows the absence and reviews, samples, and pre-release drivers are left reviewers with no choice but to await the official launch of the RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte models by NVIDIA before they can make any purchase. The initial reporters and lackluster interest, the lukewarm response of the RTX 4060 Ti launched in Japan yesterday. They launched in Japan yesterday and has turned into a joke, suggesting that only reviewers are eagerly awaiting these cards And sad to know, they're not sending none out because it's pretty same from the version 1 of the graphic card of the GeForce RTX 4060 Ti 8 GB. Only thing difference is that you are getting more VRAM, which is 16 gigabytes. They stepped to 8 more gigabytes of VRAM because gamers are complaining and saying that 8 gigabyte is not enough. To me, 8 gigabyte is enough just for a basic gamer. Um, 6 gigabyte, 3 gigabyte was enough for gamers like me. So, but moderate hardcore gamers are stating that 8 gigabyte is not enough. Now, the reason why they're not sending out any of these graphic cards, the 16 gigabyte GPUs, because they are the same predecessors of the 4060 Ti 8 gigabyte version 1. Let's go over it. CUDA cores are 4352, same 4352, 2.5 gigahertz boost clock with the 16 gigabyte G6 on version 1, 8 gigabyte G6. Memory clock is 18 gigabits per second. Memory bus is 128 bit. Memory bandwidth is 288 gigabit. TDP board power is 160 watts. So yes, if you have a 600, 700, 800 watt power supply, you'll be pretty much fine because this GPU is not power hungry. And that's the good thing about it. The sad note is that the MSRP is $499 in the US and $549 international. So, but the sad thing is the price point. Yesterday was the release date, but the sad thing is the price point because it's just like I just mentioned. It's coming in at a whopping $500. Now, I'm gonna go down to where I think the price point should have been. Okay, the price point of the RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabytes should have been $399. The version 1 8 gigabyte should have been $299, and your regular one should have been $199. But you all know how NVIDIA are. They money hungry, they greedy, so they just come up with these ridiculous mediocre prices to where they think these GPUs should be sold. And it's to me it's not fair to a person who's looking for a GPU. This is why AMD is stepping up and their GPU are selling. The RX 7600, just like I said, is an 8 gigabyte graphic card. Their graphic card for AMD is going for $259.99, which only works at 1080p. And it might read ultra, but if you're on the 60 hertz monitor, you should get perfect FPS. So, enough said. I covered all the topics of the Ron on Ron, episode 5. I covered all the topics. I'll be putting all those topic information in the description below. So if you want to understand the sources, if you have any questions, post them in the comment section. I love reading. I'll be getting back with you on that. And I'll see y'all in set episode 6. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.